Hi everyone, it's Joy and happy Friday. So we are going to be using the Sweet Jar bundle. It coordinates with the Jar of Joy bundle and it has its own punch. So you have both of these, and then I made this one for my Instagram hop this morning with the Coastal Cabana monochromatic. So this is really fun. It's a bookbinding fold, so when you open it, it opens like this. So it still has a little binding there. So we're going to turn that on its side and make another one. Instead of with the Jar of Joy, we're going to be using the Sweet Jar. So as you can see, I also added some dies with that. So I'm using the Nested Essentials dies, and it has these dies here that have rounded corners, rounded corners automatically. And then of course it has the banners, and then it has this shape here. But we're going to be using the largest of this rounded corners rectangle with this. So we have the Sweet Jar stamp set, and then the Sweet Jar punch. So those coordinate together. It is a photopolymer set, so it is one of the clear ones. So both the Sweet Jar and the Jar of Joy, they're both photopolymer, and they both fit this punch because they have the the cute little jar here. All right. So now let's also bring in some things. I'm also going to be using the Full of Life 6x6 Designer Series paper. And it has all these wonderful patterns. So you have this one, and then we'll just flip them over so you can see the back sides. There are 12 different designs. You get 4 of each design. So you can make lots of cards of things with these. These are so bright and colorful and fun. And we're going to be using this piece today. So we have all of these. We've got these bursts, and then circles and squares, and rectangles, kind of, freeform rectangles. Just very, very, very fun. Now, the paper is a last chance item, so get it while you can. Let's bring the this one back in so you can see this fold one more time. So again, this is a bookbinding fold. So you have it, it opens like this. We're going to make a card and we're going to turn it like this so it's more like a tablet opening rather than a book. So we're going to do that. We're going to use a different color. We're going to use some of the in colors, the new in colors. And so this is Timid Tiger. So this is orange, a nice orange. And I'm going to show you with my paper trimmer here. I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way because this is a piece that's half of 8.5 by 11. So this is 4¼ inches by 11 inches. So this goes all the way down to the 11-inch mark. And then we're going to do some scoring. So we're going to score at the 4½ inch mark. So 4, and then the next larger line is 1/4 inch, and then the next larger line is 1/2 inch. So the little tiny marks here are 1/16 inch, 1/8 inch. So those are your measurements. So if you go and you go 4/16, that's 4¼ If you go 8/16, that's 4½. So I'm going to go at the 4½ inch mark, and then we're going to do our paper trimmer, and then we're going to go at 5½ inch mark. And 5½ is half of 11. So there we have our score lines, and that's how I got them. So hello everybody that is joining me, and I hope that you learned something in this video. If not, I hope I entertain you by showing you how to make a really fun card. So let's go ahead and let's use a bone folder. And then, so that is half. So we folded it in half. And then we're going to fold this one backwards. So we're going to fold that one back. And we're going to give that a good score. So we have this. And like I said, we're going to turn it this way this time. So it'll open this way, kind of like a tablet, versus opening like a book, like this one does. So we've got Tim a Tiger, and then we're also going to bring in some strawberry slush to use with it too. Now, this piece in the Full of Life Designer Series paper, this is actually pumpkin pie and mellow mambo. But because this is a watercolor wash, it is going to really go pretty well with our Timid Tiger and our strawberry slush. So just a tip there. You can kind of, take colors that are really close in tone and put them together. All right. So we have that. And I'm going to go ahead and just attach this with some multi-purpose liquid glue. Just going to go ahead and attach our layer. Oh, what size is our layer? Ooh, I better tell you before I stick that down. So our layer is 4 inches by 4¼ inches. So again, that's 4 inches by 4¼ inches. And we're going to tack that down with our multi-purpose liquid glue. I always use this tip here because I don't like to get too much glue coming out. This one's probably getting really low. Yeah, this one's getting really low. We're going to switch to a new one. And if you get a little glue, like dried glue around there, just pull that off the tip. It's fine. Pull it off and throw that away. And then we're going to put this down here and leave an even border. It winds up being like a 1/16 inch of an inch, or an 1/8 of an inch border. That's right. 1/4 inch smaller, 1/8 of an inch border. And so you have a border on the 3 sides, on the 2 sides, and then on the bottom you have that border. So we have that on. Now it's going to be time to do our ribbon here. So this is the strawberry slush ribbon. So this is on sale currently. If you're watching this during August of 2025. And this is Timid Tiger. So both of these are part of the 2025 to 2027 in colors, and so therefore for this month of August in 2025 it is on sale. So I'm just going to cut a piece. I didn't really even measure it, just cutting a piece of ribbon. And this ribbon, I'm going to bring in some glue dots. Where are they? There they are. Just going to glue this down. Kind of take it on the edge, one on each. Make sure the glue dot comes up with your ribbon. And I'm going to do that on each end. And I'm going to wrap that around the top here. So this little top portion is going to get this ribbon. And we're going to try to center it the best we can. And tuck that under, press that down, pull it kind of taut, and press that down on that side. Now, we also want to glue that down. You could use some tape runner, you could use some Seal Plus, you could use some of the tear and tape. Oh, again, that's the one that's empty. I need to throw that one away. Let's use the new one. But the liquid glue will work just as well. You're going to get a lot on those edges there. Make sure you don't get your glue too close to the edge, kind of thin it out a bit. But we want to make sure that sticks really well. Close that up again. Kind of let it sit, and so it gives a good adherence with that glue. Now, we will also, later on, we will put a little bow. We will have a bow. I actually pre-tied one, and we will put a bow there, but we're going to work on the rest of our card first. Alright, I have a scrap piece that is big enough for our punch. You always need to have a little bit extra over here to have something to hang on to. And we're going to go ahead and stamp that with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And here's our little jar stamp. So we're stamping that. Just tap, tap, tap. Don't need to push it in. Just kind of tap it. You can also do it this way. We bring the pad to the stamp. But again, you just want to be tapping. You don't really want to push that hard into your stamp or into your pad. Now, I'm just going to stamp that right here. So again, thank you for everyone that is joining me. I love it when you join and you make comments. So now we need our little, you could make these look like cookies because you have a stamp that has little dots here, or I'm going to make it look like jelly beans today. So strawberry jelly beans is what we're going to have. We're going to do strawberry slush for our jelly beans. I love some strawberry jelly beans. I also like orange jelly beans. But we are going to do strawberry jelly beans today. And then you're going to bring this in. Just tap, tap, tap. Make sure you get it the way you want it to. And then you're going to bring this all the way down to the bottom here. And hopefully I did that right. Hopefully I did not leave a gap. Ah, perfect. Alright, so we have our strawberry jelly beans in our jar. And we have our punch. Probably should let that dry just a tad. So it's a little tricky sometimes to fully line up your lid because it's a separate stamp. So we're gonna wait on that. We're gonna do this first. I'm gonna line that up in the window and punch it. Now, I do have a little bit of room there. Do I have enough room? I think I do. I do. I have enough room to go ahead and stamp the lid with Timid Tiger. Beautiful. Alright. Close up our ink pad. The color palette today is Strawberry Slush and Timid Tiger. Move that over here. Make sure that's nice and dry. It does dry very quickly though. And we're going to put that, we're going to line that up in the window. And we're going to punch that. There we have our lid and our jar. So that's going to be like that. That's going to look really cute. And we have a piece left over to do something else with. There's those two. And I have die cut ahead of time my rounded edge rectangle, my corner rounded rectangle from the Nested Essentials die set. And it is going to go this way. And I like to put a little tiny bit of color, lay down just a little color to kind of ground my images. And it kind of, makes it lift off the page a little bit. It's just a little color trick that really does add. So if you haven't started doing things like that, yeah, here's a nice scratch paper. It was from some watercoloring that I did. We'll just use that one. And we're going to use Pool Party. I love to use Pool Party to do this little background. So we're going to put that over here. We have a blending brush, and I'm just going to get some color. I want to go off first so that our color is nice and soft, and just going to put some color down, and we're just going to keep blending until it's the way we want it. You can always add color, but you can't take it away. I'm going to check that, see if that's looking about the way I want it to. It is, so but I'm going to get a little closer to the edge on that left side. I'm just going to get a good amount here. Like I said, we're just going to blend, 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 blend until we get it the way we want. But we're going to add the color little bits at a time. Yeah, I need a little bit more over here. Alright, we're going to keep going. We're going to add a little bit more on the other side. And we're just going to get at the darkness that we want. Alright, I think we're doing pretty good. It's just very subtle. I might add a little bit more so it's a little less subtle. But again, you want to go slowly on adding your color because you don't want to have too much color too quickly. Okay, let's check one more time. Okay, I think that looks really good. That looks really nice. We got a nice little pool party background halo almost behind our jar. It does give a little bit of depth. So I do like doing that. Um, and yes, Jackie, I love these colors too. I like to put pink and orange together. When I was growing up, it was like a no-no to put pink and orange together, but I'm like, why? They look really nice together. All right, let's go ahead and put just a little bit, tiny, tiny little bit of glue on the edge here of our jar so that we can attach our lid. I'm going to go ahead and attach it. You can do other things where you leave the lid kind of off and like laying to the side. You can do all kinds of things with this. All right, there we have it. That looks pretty good. All right, we have our jar, and let's see, while we're working on our jar, let's bring in some dimensionals. Just using some of the regular size dimensionals. Doing the corners. Yeah, it does. Do need one in the middle. So let's just do that. That's really nice and popped up there. So this is going to go onto our rectangle here. And I'm going to have a greeting on this side. So I'm going to put this where it's kind of off to the side here. And I want this to be kind of the bottom, the very tip of the bottom, kind of lined up with the bottom because I want to keep it kind of grounded. And let's see, yes, I think I will pop this up. So, you know me, I love my dimension, so I like to use lots of dimensionals. That looks good. And this one is going to go onto our background here. With this, kind of try to top and bottom, but I do need kind of the same, just eyeballing it, but I do need to move this over. There, that is attached. Now we need some words. We need a sentiment or greeting, however you like to say that. So I have a very, very tiny piece. There's my bow that I'm going to use later. Went ahead and tied it off camera just to save a little time. But this is a very nice ribbon. It does tie bows really nicely. So this is a very, just in case you're wondering, this strawberry slush faux linen ribbon is very nice and does tie bows very, very nicely. Okay, so this is a tiny piece. And it is 7/8 of an inch by 1.5 inches. This stamp here, and this stamp says sending a little and then a blank space and then your way, so that you can put sweetness, love, luck, party in there. So it's connected, which is nice because your spacing is perfect by doing that. Let's go ahead and bring in the Memento Tuxedo Black again. And we're just going to tap, 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 get some on here. Oh yeah, I'm having fun. I got ink on my fingers. Okay. This, I'm going to try to eyeball this. I'm just going to hold it for a second, not really pushing, just holding it there, letting the ink kind of absorb into the paper. There we have it. And where's the sweetness stamp? There's the sweetness stamp. And we need strawberry slush for that sweetness stamp. Woo! Gonna run away. Alright, sweetness is going to be in strawberry slush again. Do not press into your pad. See, I wasn't even pressing, and look, I'm getting it in areas. So just be very careful with that. You just want to tap very, very lightly. And let's see if we can make that sweetness be right there. Just hold it there for just a minute. There we have, sending a little sweetness your way. Okay. Oh, one tip on if you get, especially with the ones that are red, or oranges or have like a red undertone, if you go ahead and blot it really well and then clean it pretty quickly, you will keep from getting your staining to be quite so dark. But you know, with use, you are going to get staining, but they still work. They still work. So don't worry about the staining. And we're going to pull in a piece of the Timid Tiger to go with our little, sending a little sweetness your way. And let's see. Oh, that's the one I did before. I think I like the one I did just now better. And my sweetness might be, well, it's pretty straight. Alright, we're going to use that. So what size is this one? This Timid Tiger piece is 1 inch by 1 5/8 inches. So again, this piece is 1/8 of an inch smaller. So it is 7/8 of an inch by 1 1/2 inches. And this one is 1 inch by 1 5/8. So it's going to be a skinny border. So it will have a 1/16 of an inch border. Alright. Let's go ahead and attach those two. Where's my tweezers? Here they are. Got a lot of glue on that, so I'm going to try using my tweezers with this. Oop. At least I got it placed, and then I can use my fingers to finish getting that straight. Alright, this is going to go right in here. It's going to go right about there, I think. Right about there. So I need, as you can see, it's kind of, kind of going down. It's not even. So I need some dimension on one side. So I need dimension on this side. Alright. Let's go ahead, put a dimensional right there, and then I can just use a little dab of glue on the other end. And where's my take your pick tool? Here's my take your pick tool. And I'm going to use that. Go ahead And we're going to place our Sending a Little Sweetness Your Way right here on our card. So now all we need is our bow and then some gems, and we will be done. Bringing in my glue dots again. I'll find the glue dot and my bow that I already pre-tied. And you know what? Before I stick that down, I'm going to stick a little, use my take your pick tool. Here's my glue dot. Glue dot, glue dot, glue dot. No, they're on here. They're on this thing. Will it still stick if I do that? I don't know. I think I need a new row of glue dots. I think that's the end of that one. So let's pull one right out of my drawer here. We're going to stick this right over here just to hang out for a second. And then we have glue dots here. Now I can find a glue dot. I'm going to pull that. Oops, where did it go? It's on my glass mat. Okay, so we have a glue dot right there. And we're going to just stick this kind of in the middle underneath our ribbon. We could have done that before, but we didn't think about it, so we're doing it now. Alright, I already have a glue dot back there, so now we're going to try to stick that in the center, get that relatively centered on our ribbon. Sometimes I use my fingers to measure. There we have our bow, and we're going to trim off the ends. We're just going to grab some scissors and trim off the ends. Alright, there we have that. Now we just need gems. Where are our gems? Here they are. Again, another item that is part of the 2025 to 2027 in colors. The Strawberry Slush and Pretty Pink Gems. So this has Strawberry Slush in here. So which gems are we going to use today? Oh, it just slid right out. So I think since we have some orange, I don't know. Do we want this one that's almost a goldish? We could do the Pretty in Pink. We could do the Strawberry Slush. I think maybe I want the Pretty in Pink. Alright. Now, I haven't done gems on this one yet, so what gems am I going to use? Large or small? Let's do a small one, maybe right here. And maybe a large one. Let's see. How do we think that'll look? I don't know. I'm not sticking that down fully because I'm not sure about that. Do you ever do this? You have trouble figuring out where you want to place your gems? Okay. because that kind of, there is a lot of empty space over there. Of course, my husband tells me, don't be afraid of empty space. Push that one down? No, that was not pushed down. Alright guys, I really don't know where to put that. Which looks better? This one does draw attention to that. I think that's what I'm gonna decide on. I think I'm just gonna go with that. Don't take too much time thinking about it. Just do it, Joy. Alright, now, of course, I like to bring some of the outside to the inside. So I have a piece for the inside, and it is the same size as our designer series paper. So it's 4 inches by 4¼ inches, and this is basic white. Again, we've got our basic white, our Timber Tiger, our and then we have Strawberry Slush for our ribbon. So I went ahead and I stamped a jar ahead of time to save a little bit of time on our video. And so I'm going to put that on the inside. Where if it gets a little thick in places, just use that nozzle without squeezing it and just thin that out. You don't want that too thick. Just kind of thin that out a little bit. And we're going to put that in the inside, leaving an even border all the way around. Then we stamped a little lid. I like the separate lid better for some reason than just stamping it above the jar. So again, we're just going to use, because I don't want any dimension really in the inside, so we're just dabbing a little bit of glue on that piece. Picking it up with our tweezers, and we're just going to place that on our jar. So there we have the inside and the outside of this adorable little sweet jar card. And again, this was the Jar of Joy. So this one went with the Jar of Joy, and this one is the stamps from Sweet Jar, but they both go with the punch. Let's just move that over. So they both go with the punch here, and so that's kind of what they go with. I hope you have enjoyed my presentation and how that I've taken the bookbinding fun fold and turned it on its side and turned it into more of a tablet fold. So go ahead and tell me in the comments, ask me any questions you have. I do go back afterwards and make sure that I reply to all of your comments. I either acknowledge it with a little emoji, or I will go ahead and make other comments. So as I said, I love your comments, and go ahead and do make sure that you tell me anything, you know, ask me anything you want to know in the comments, and I will go back later and answer all your questions. So that's our presentation for today. Until next time, bye.